Welcome, everybody. We are about to get started here in a little bit. We're letting everybody get settled down. Everybody was having a good meal. We're breaking bread here at 1950 South Shepherd in El Reno. This is the All Nations Res Covery Wellbriety Group. So, we appreciate everybody that's able to tune in today. We are going to say a word of prayer and then have our speaker come on. So bear with us as we get our life together.
You gotta just turn it on.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I know everybody's finishing up eating. Still got food in your jaw, still chewing. But we're going to get started here in a little bit, and we're going to open up with a word of prayer. And then, did I say that right? A word of prayer. Dang, my lips in the way again. And then we will pray, and then we will get to our speaker for the night. So everybody would like to just pray with me. We're going to go to him. Hijagra maji polski halwi legit skat mojanite yedat skat hilima hirundo smoke at itlai tifigi ovan tilai rundoes. Creator, we come to you this evening to we're so blessed to have the people that we have in our recovery family that have come to enjoy and break bread with us. We ask tonight that you just wrap your arms around everyone that's here seeking any answers or guidance or wisdom tonight. And we ask that we just all continue to come together in fellowship and that you ask us to do and need us to do, and through you that we know that recovery is possible. We ask that you just continue to bless us and give us the guidance and wisdom that you can, and then that little bit of resilience that we get from our ancestors that have gone through on this before us. Then we just ask that we just be touched with just a little tiny bit of that resilience tonight, Creator. And as we bring our sister up tonight, Creator, we just ask that you bless us and let us to listen with open hearts and open minds, and hopefully we find a lesson in whatever it is that we hear tonight, Creator, that we walk away with full bellies and a good mind and a good heart. We ask all this in your precious and holy name. Okay. And man, I didn't think about this, but I probably should be the one to introduce her. This is one of my I used to say that she was my unofficial sponsor because she doesn't sponsor anyone, but she's become a mentor to me, and I've known her for years. We fought at council. We're both Seminole and Muskogee. We both sat on tribal council, and we weren't always on the same side of the fence. But that stated is she's become a mentor to me. She's a Wellbriety sister. When I first came into Wellbriety, I had known about everything that I knew prior to that before because of this lady. She's so special to me. She's a person that I can call to if I need it, and I'm not going to cry. If I need to joke or I need some levity inserted in my life, then she's always there. But she's always there with words of wisdom as well. I'm so excited for her to be here. I'll let her tell her own story, but welcome with me, Miss Andrea Alexander.
Yeah.
Mado. First, I want to say Mado and thank you. Hold on. Come here. Hurry. Come on. Say hi. No. Give me sugars. Sugars. No. Okay. Now she's going to stay up here. Hey. I'll keep her. This is why I do what I do. I love that. The innocent and the trust. You can tell she's raised in a good family. She trusts. So, Mado, thank you, Brett. Dave and Brittany. I just love that. And she's coming and coming. I'm going to take her home with me. She's fine. Hold my hand. See, she's going to be my comfort pillow. Thank you, Brett. What was it? Skinny Bone for inviting me and having me come up here. Wasn't that what she called him? Skinny Bone? Was it Skinny Bone? So I said, who's everybody's name? And she was giving me all her nicknames that she has for all of y'all. And but thank you all for the invitation to your territory. I appreciate it. My first time here was a couple of years ago. I did Mending Broken Hearts in Clinton, and that was I was scared at that time coming to Cheyenne country because my grandma, where I-40 is, and they always hear this from me, where I-40 and how that interchange is for I-35, if you know Oklahoma City, she would always say, all them people out there, they're crazy. Don't go there. And today is her birthday. But so I don't, yeah. I got Natalie over here to second it. She said they were right. So thank you. My name is Andrea Alexander. I am Seminole and Muskogee Creek. By BIA math, I am 3/4 Seminole and 1/4 Creek. I'm not enough Seminole for some Seminoles and not enough Creek for some Creeks, but I'm more than others. That's what I always say. That's my recipe. I am in long-term recovery. My sobriety birth date is a chosen one because I don't know exactly the day. I just picked a date in the time that I was out from being sober from one moment to the next. So I chose Christmas Eve, 12/24/95. I have 29 years of sobriety and 25 years of recovery because I was just trying to live those first 4 years and not so much going to meetings. I had no idea about that. I was just struggling and striving just to get through. And I was still mad. I was still angry. I was still cussing. I was still wanting to fight people. And that was just because I was hurting. In my realization of the work I'm doing and the recovery work and the healing work and, of course, the therapy, I'm realizing that I had a pain that I was trying to squash with everything that I was taking and putting in my body and doing to my body. And that pain just kept coming back. The memories kept coming back. And the more I kept doing things, it wasn't helping. So I really had to look at, as the years have gone by in the progression of my recovery, I had to look at my traumas. My traumas are what got me here. My traumas are what keep me here, but my traumas are not who I am today. And so I had to really look at that. And that's something that's been new in my long-term recovery is addressing those things. And so when I say that, you know, I really believed all those things that happened to me that no one else, it didn't happen to no one else. That I was the one that no one could understand. Or even if someone wanted to talk to me, they didn't really know me. And if they really knew, they wouldn't like me. Y'all know this, right? I really thought I was special. I really did. I thought I'm so special because all these things happened to me. And then I realized we all got hurt. We all been hurt. How we carry that hurt is how whether or not we stay in recovery or not. When we deal with that hurt is whether or not we stay in recovery or not. And when we face it is whether we stay in recovery or not. And I've learned that relapse happens in my mind. The end result of that relapse is actual use or drinking. That's the end result. So I work on my mind as much as I can. A lot of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I do that a lot. I really have to, and I cognizantly, I have to say, no, stop. I say it out loud. It's been a ride, a journey. I knew that initially when I got sober from where I was hurting and I was angry, I had to do something. I was in very unhealthy relationships because, you know, when we do this stuff, we don't get in the healthiest of relationships or even the safest of relationships. But in my mind, because I come from a poverty family, poverty ridden, if a man could provide electricity and Coke at the end of the month for me, man, he was rolling in the dough. That was my criteria. That was my high value. And it's, you know, now when I reflect on that, I was hurt. I was looking for a safety and security from the traumas that had happened to me. And that safety and security came out in the sense of someone taking care of me, not even a good, healthy way. And that's what I believed. So I went through a lot of emotional and financial abuse because I didn't understand that. Poverty life, poverty childhood. My first experience at drinking, I was 4 years old. My first experience at smoking dope, I was 4. I thought it was normal. I thought families did that. That, at Christmas there wasn't present. There was cajas, 12 packs. It was a stack of 12 packs. It wasn't about the kids or the presents. It was about the drinking and the parties. We'd hide under the beds, listen to the adults. I knew something changed with them, that they would tell us they loved us, that they would hug us, but only if they were drinking. Sometimes they fell on us because they were so drunk. They'd fall into the Christmas tree. Then the fights would, when the falling down, we understood when the falling down happened, the fighting was going to start. And y'all know this, right? And see, and I thought I was so special. It didn't happen in my family. Everybody's family. I don't talk about it. I don't tell no one because children weren't to seen or to be heard. Children didn't matter. You just do what you're told. And that's how I was. So as I got older, my grandma raised me a lot. And, and that is a testimony to her because today is her birthday. She raised a lot of us, a lot of her grandkids. And, a lot of her, she had 12 children, 13, one passed really young, but she had 12. And she took as much best care of us as she could and from what she knew. But she was the first one in our family to go to, I wouldn't say boarding school. She was put in a sanatorium to be dealt with because she had TB. That's how they dealt with it when it was her age. She went from the age of 8 to 18 in a sanatorium over there at Eufaula, Oklahoma. And my mother went to boarding school. She went to Sequoia for a little bit, and she also was our family was part of the BIA relocation program. So we came from Cromwell and they got moved to Compton, LA. Culture shock for sure. Because now I hear Cromwell has a dollar store. I'm so excited. That's their mall. Took us a while to get a post office. So that's how poor I grew up in the sense of if you're thinking of dollar signs. But if you think of meaning, I had my cousins there. I grew up with cousins that we grew up as brothers and sisters. And we stuck by each other. We fought each other, of course. And our grandma did her best in taking us to our ceremony grounds, to Hoyo's, and she made sure we was there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We didn't show up at 9 or 10 at night. We'd show up in the afternoon, and she'd tell us, go to this camp, go to that camp, and we would help that camp, wash dishes, cook, serve the men, serve the families that were coming. She essentially taught me about service work, that you do for others what they can't do, because you got, and plus help each other out. And I see Natalie moving around, shuffling, cleaning stuff, straightening stuff, ensuring everybody's taken care of. She has that teaching too. Because that's who we are as Seminole women. We honor the people who come to our house. We always have something to eat for them. You may get a bologna sandwich now these days because I'm not home too much. And if it's bologna, you best be happy because I miss bologna. I don't get to have it now. And so, that's just some of the teachings that I grew up with. But as I kept getting older, and every year I would drink more because drinking was more accessible than anything else in my household. And by the time I was 8, we went to boarding school, me and my brothers and sisters. So I was a boarding school child from the age of 8 to 18. I've been to Sequoia, Eufaula, and Jones Academy. I started at Jones Academy. And at that time, the gentleman that my mother was with, when he took us by Big Mac first, the prison, and took the long Rotunda Drive with the trees lining it. He said, if we didn't behave, this is where we were going to end up. And I said, so? Because I was stupid. I was just hurting and angry. And we get to the Jones Academy. They have a high fence around their property, along the road, a mile to the dorms with trees. And I flipped out because it was almost like that same thing. That's what I remember from boarding school, from going to Jones Academy. And it was in Choctaw country. There wasn't very many Creeks there or Seminoles. And my time there I went there from 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. That was the toughest time I ever had because that was the furthest I'd been away from my family. And my favorite uncle was in the Army at that time, so he would send us care packages, from Hawaii and all that, because he was in the Army. And our mom, did her best at working and taking care of us. We would get letters from her. She was working 3 jobs as a waitress in Shawnee. and it would be written on her waitress pad. You know, those little check slips. She'd write letters to us on that and put her tips in it, send it to us. That's the best that's what she knew she could do for us. And so we were taken care of in that sense. And the kids at the boarding school thought we were rich because we got packages from people who loved us. We got letters from people who loved us. We weren't forgotten while we were there. And I had family who come out because of softball, that would come out because of tournaments they would play. And they would come and check us out and take us get a burger in town. And they thought we were rich. And I was just glad to see family. But that's how I grew up in the boarding schools. But during that time, we were drinking and we were smoking. I really got bad into my huffing at that age. It started out with, you know, the usual fingernail polish. And by the time I stopped, it was gas because I was just stuffing the pain as much as I could. That's the cross addiction that I was seeing and how it related to my traumas. Because as I was there, I was being bullied. To say I was being bullied is the nicest way I could put it. I was being picked on. And in the harm they were causing me, it has put physical scars on me. And so to deal with that, I would get high because I just didn't want to experience the pain of what was happening. And then I would see other girls they would pick on. And so by the time I got back, I took my whole summer when I was 12, I took my whole summer to plot and plan my revenge. And that year I went back, I did. And it's sad that I had turned into them to hurt others. You know, at first when I was thinking about it when I was younger, I had a plan and I executed it very well. And I was a smart kid. I made straight A's all the way through school, high school, A's and B's. I've always been smart. And I made the honor roll. You know, we did the state testing. I always tested high, the first one in the state. You know, I had some brains, but that meant I could manipulate really good and I could lie really good. Because, you know, underneath it all, I'm a Gemini too. We're going to get real. But you see, my addiction, my pain, it was all intertwined. And I was trying not to look at it or even address it. And so I had to leave that school under special circumstances, they said, because they said I was doing things, but they couldn't prove it was me. And so they had my mom pull me out of the school. And that probably saved me from a lot of more hurt because I probably would have got worse. And so I had to come back home. I always made it a point not to come home because it wasn't safe at home because of the things that were happening at home. And then I went to Eufaula again. And Eufaula was really good to me in the sense of I had become a 12-year-old in a 30-year-old body where I could drink like crazy. I was a thief. I would steal beer off of trucks. I would steal liquor and just go in there and get liquor and walk out with it because I knew they wouldn't chase me. You know, I learned antisocial skills like really, really quick going to boarding school to survive. And they were my survival skills to keep my addiction flourishing and my alcoholism. But I didn't know that. And so during that, I stayed at Eufaula for a couple of years. I didn't make it through there. I don't think I've made it once or twice at a boarding school all year long without getting kicked out. Maybe once or twice. Now that I think about that, that's nuts. My sister probably knows more than I do because she was always getting on to me. But so, you know, then I got the magical answer to everything that was going to take care of me was I was going to go to Sequoia. Back then, the reputation of Sequoia, it does not have the reputation it has now. Back then, it was the party high school. And I just enjoyed my time there. That's when my alcoholism was raging. That's when I was 15, had to go to an AA meeting. 15. And it was an experimental project, they said. And it didn't work for me because I wasn't ready. I wasn't listening. I would sneak out. And that was just the thing I did. But I made sure I made good grades. You know, sometimes they say I was a functional alcoholic, and sometimes I was a dysfunctional, and sometimes I was a binge drinker. You know, I went through all those different alcoholisms, all those different addiction signs. I just went where I could get relief. And then when I sober up, I'd start hurting again. When I came to, I start hurting again. And I start looking for another thing to keep it from not hurting, to not feel. Because when I feel, I cry. And if I cry, it's weakness. Because in our family, we don't show weakness. We suck it up, get through it. You don't go see a counselor because you're not crazy. Because if you're crazy, then everybody else is crazy. If you tell the secrets of the family, then everybody gets in trouble. And you can't leave the family because we need you to take care of the kids. So you see, you're stuffing all of that. And that trauma you're carrying is, it's that compounded trauma continually. And then you're still trying to take care of it with that addiction and that alcoholism. And I always was escaping. I'd always try to find a way out. I was a runner. I always ran. And that, as a survival skill, it was good for me because I could save myself. But as an adult, as I got older, that running, I've really sabotaged a lot of relationships. I've really sabotaged a lot of people, healthy relationships I could have had because of my running, my wall building, my pushing them away. Because I got this, what do they call it? Hyper independence. I can do this. I got this. Do you need help? No, I'm fine. And the funniest part I say now, but at the time I thought it was the craziest, how people really were like that too, because I thought I was the only one. And I think that's the biggest thing recovery has shown me, is that I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. That whole time I did, because I talked to myself. The lie I told myself was, you ain't shit. You ain't nothing. Who would want you? If they really knew what you did, if they really knew what happened to you, and, that's just the things I told myself. And those are the things that I work in my recovery program. Those are the lies that creep up every once in a while. Because that little girl, she is safe. It's just that sometimes, that little girl, she remembers some of the things that I don't. And I have to take that moment for that little girl because she comes out at times. And so in my adulthood, my choices did get a little better, I say. I hadn't realized till February that I actually quit drinking and using drugs in my 20s. Because I did the math. I'm not too good at math. I did not realize I quit that early. I feel like I was like 40 because I did a lot of stuff. And most of it I don't remember. I don't remember much of high school. I really don't. I was just out of it. And people will tell me, you did this, you did that. I'm like, I probably did. There's some girls from high school still hold grudges against me because of the things I did. Sometimes I'm like, just get over it. That was high school. And then sometimes I'm like, I probably did something really bad that I don't remember, or said something that I don't remember, because I was a quick wit. Boarding school that's what boarding school teaches you, how to lash out with your tongue, hurt people with your words. That's one of the things I've really worked on too. And so when I first came into recovery and first got sober, I was at a Christmas party. And at that Christmas party, what I remember, the flashes that I remember, is cutting lines and Christmas tree being up and Christmas presents being under the tree. Then I remember going in the bathroom, asking myself, what am I doing here? Because I had 2 kids. I don't know where they were or who was watching them. I still don't know. I really don't. Hopefully they were at home with their dad. Hopefully. Because remember, this was the guy who always had electric on at the end of the month and had some Coke for me, drinking Coke. And so everybody's like, oh, that's why I go drinking. If you're not in the audience, they just had a spiritual awakening out here. They mind mapped that. And so, that's that's all I know. I can't attest to anything else, or even I can't even say no, I didn't, or even argue that I wasn't, because I believed I was a good mom. I wasn't. I believed I was a great mom. I wasn't. I have PTA plaques that says I was. I don't remember doing those things. I don't remember doing those things to be the PTA mom, because it was all a mask. It was all a front to hide what was going on underneath, to put on that mask and be good for everyone else. And so when I sobered up, I decided to go to college. I had my list. I had to get my high school diploma. I had to get my driver's license. I didn't have a driver's license. Didn't have a GED. I decided to go to college. Drinking was the last thing on the last of my list. that maybe there's a problem with that maybe, because I also had a flashback of two people when I went to Sequoia. One of them, he told me, it was someone who I was, as you say in boarding school, going with. And he said I had a drinking problem and I might want to quit. Broke up with him right then and there. Because we don't want to hear that, right? We don't want people to tell us what's really wrong with us. And I didn't want to hear that. Then I remember a lady came from NSU College, and she was showing us the cycle of addiction. And then the bottom of alcoholism. You know how that line goes? And then the going down into the bottom, then coming back out. As you work a recovery program, you come out. I just remember that chart. I do not remember the lady's name. I don't remember what she really looked like because I was under the influence at the time. And that came to me at that time, like almost 10, 15 years later, those popped up. And I was like, man, I have no idea where that lady is now. Because if not for that progression of the disease, I probably wouldn't have looked at trying to stop. Because that was my maybe moments. It wasn't my, I got this, I'm done. It was my maybe moments because we had a lot of maybe moments. And so I decided maybe, maybe. Maybe is always a buy-in for me. It's always a buy-in for me. Because then I know I've hit that point of crossroads. That I'm not on a straight path no more of destruction. I'm at a crossroads. Either I can go one way and work on healing, or I can go the other way and just continue to die. Because that was the next path I was on. And so I decided to go back to college. I got my GED. I didn't do it the traditional way. I argued with the state of Oklahoma on how to test so that they could accommodate me, because I'm an individual and I'm so special. And they listened. They let me do it like that. And so, because I didn't have a babysitter for my kids, my babysitter was when school vacations. School was my babysitter, and I had a baby who wasn't in school. So I had to figure out a way to be able to test and take her with me. And so they broke it up into chunks so that I could do it and she wouldn't get too restless at the same time. So I got my GED. And then I had to work on getting my license. I'm epileptic, y'all. I have seizures. I had to go seizure medication free and seizure free for 10 years. Talk about that plan to wait. Because you know how we are. We want everything yesterday. But it worked out because I got to work on my financial responsibility because I got into a couple of tickets for speeding. And so I had to take care of that. But during that 10-year span, I was able to stay sober and get into college. And going to college, that was another thing. I was the first one in my family, in my mom's family, to go to college. And that was so foreign to me. I did not know how to read a college book, a college course catalog. See, I can't even say the name now. And so I tried it. I tried nursing. I got to my clinicals. When I got to my clinicals, this is how much I was not working on my traumas. The lady sitting across from me, we were being called in to interview for our clinicals to see where they were going to send us. She was sitting there crying. And y'all know when you haven't worked on a few things and crying makes you uncomfortable? In my head, I was like, you just need to shut up. Because she just was crying and she was heartbroken. I can say that now, but I didn't see that then. I just thought she was a crybaby and she just needs to shut up. Because we're all adults here. We're in college. You don't need to be acting like that. Because that's how I was raised. You don't do that. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I finally said, are you all right? Not really meaning it. Just trying to, do lip service. And she goes, no. And she told me her story. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's really going to tell me what's wrong with her. And I wasn't ready for that. I was like, dang, I didn't, because some people, you say, are you all right? Like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, yes. But then she starts telling me her story. And I'm like, oh my God, I really have to listen to this. That's how hurt I was, y'all. That's how sick I was, because I was like, are you, and in my head, I was like, are you effing kidding me? And so I'm sitting there, oh, really? Yeah. I have a relative, their favorite words is when they're just listening to you, but not really listening. They're like, is that right? You don't say. I don't say those no more. And everybody's like, okay, Andrea, when I talk to you, you start saying that, I know you zoned out. And So she told me her story, and what had happened to her was she had pulled her back, and they told her if she hurt herself now at this point, they would have no use of her in the program as a nurse. So her dream was crushed. Her dream was crushed, y'all. And I was sitting there talking shit in my head to her. Who do I think I was? Who do I think I was to do that to her? And I was like, oh my gosh, because that hit home for me, because I had a mom who had a lot of multiple health conditions, and she was debilitated. She was non-ambulatory by the time she passed, and I was her primary caregiver. And as genetics is, that was partly going to be my future too. So I'm actually looking at future planning, which I never did before. And so they called me in. They said, it's your turn. They called my name. I said, no, thank you. I'm going to go change my major. Left. And so I get down there at OSU, and I'm trying to decide, where do I go? What do I do? I've done all this work to this point. What do I do? So one of the advisors, she came up to me, she said, do you need help? And I told her what happened. I became that girl, started telling her what happened, and started crying. She says, do something you're good at. What can you do that you're good at? And I sit there, are you kidding me? And I look at the degree sheets all on the wall, and they had alcohol and substance abuse counselor. I was like, I do that well. I can do that. And she goes, are you sure? I go, yeah. I know how to drink. I know how to use drugs. Counseling? I just got to sit there and listen. I just did it, I said, I'll do this one. She goes, are you sure? I said, yeah. She goes, come on in. And she happened to be the advisor for that program. So we went in there. She enrolled me in the classes. My first class I took was called drug abuse. My first project in there was to go to an AA meeting. I was like, these effers. And I remember going to that meeting because we had they gave us the whole list, gave us the whole introduction of AA, what AA is, open meetings, closed meetings, and all that. Because I didn't know, because I wasn't in recovery. I was sober, but I wasn't in recovery. And so I picked one. I just randomly went like this. If it has I can go, So I looked, and so I went, but I didn't go in. This is a 16-week class. And I sat outside in that parking lot. And I know y'all have done this too. I'd pull up, sit outside, week after week. I had 16 weeks to get this assignment done. I'm not a procrastinator. I am. So it comes to 13th week, we got to turn in a draft. I'm like, oh my gosh. Sometimes I'd pull up with my kids in my car and sit out in the parking lot across the road. And then sometimes I'd be by myself, building up that courage to go in. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do it, because all I seen going in there was old white men. Nothing against old white men if they're watching, but that's all I seen going in there. And so when they said they needed a draft, I finally decided I'm going to go in. And I go in, and I've had a lot of opportunities in my recovery where those stereotypes, those lies I had been fed, where they have been, those truths have been given to me of what they really are. I had a stereotype of what old white men do and what they are. And those men just knocked that out of the ballpark. They weren't like that. They welcomed me. They accepted me. They asked me, are your kids okay? Because they see me sitting in the car with my kids sometimes. Do you want to bring them in? I'm like, dang, they stalkers, because that's where I go in my head. Can't do nothing. White man always watching. I was sick, y'all. I still is. And they said they can come in with you. And so, I go to the meeting. It's a smoking meeting, which I'm glad, because I smoked cigarettes at that time. And I'm the only woman, because I went to a closed men's meeting. I realized that afterwards, but at the time I thought it said, but I picked the wrong day. My scotomas, if you do Wellbriety, I had a scotoma, and I just needed a meeting. Creator knew these men would do good for me. And so I went, and I was the only woman in there. They never told me. They always accepted me in there. Of course, they made me clean the dang tables, wash the coffee cups, and make their coffee. I don't drink coffee, and I make it as junky as you want. If it's sludge, shoot, drink it up. Because I don't drink coffee. But they drank the coffee. I'd be so upset with them cleaning them ashtrays out because it was a smoking meeting. I was like, these fools don't even know how to put a cigarette out because it'd be caked on. I'd be so, but they saved everything till I got there because that's service work. Service work. And I was doing service work. And so one day, one of the gentlemen there, he comes up to me and he says, hey, we've been talking. And in my head, of course, I'm playing that tape of, what y'all talking about me? Y'all can't tell me to my face. Are y'all scared of me? And I turn around and go, what y'all saying? They were like, nothing. And they said, why don't you go here? They gave me an address of a meeting. Go here and check it out. You might feel more comfortable. And I thought, these dudes are kicking me out. They ain't got, I can't believe this because I was building that resentment. I was already that little girl, not being accepted, not being loved, not feeling safe. That whole tape was looping on me in my head. I said, all right, I'll go. All ishy. And they go, no, if you don't like it, come back. And I looked at them and go, whatever. And I walk out because I'm mad. I'm mad. And so I go to this meeting. I finally go because I waited a little bit on that one too. I was like, I can't believe it. So I sat out in my car, cussing the other group and cussing this new group. But I see and notice these are natives going in there. These are natives going to that meeting. And I think, maybe. So I finally go in. I go in, and that is the place I stayed for a long time. And that was down on 6th and Lee. And that was the first Native American AA meeting they had in Oklahoma City. There was some women in there. Margaret, Fanny, Loretta, Marley. Those 4 women, strong in AA. Strong, 3 of them were Seminole. I did not know that. 2 of them spoke the language. I did not know that. They didn't tell me that till later on. They were tough as nails though, y'all. They called me on my ish. Call me, tell me, let's go to a meeting. I'm like, I got my kids, bring them. You only have 2. There's 4 of us. What? Dang. That's the kind of AA they were. And that's what I needed. Because y'all heard how I talk to men. I needed strong women. Or they said, we're going to a meeting. I go, okay, y'all have fun. They said, no, you're going to. So see, all that time I thought I was special. Y'all said that too. I try to use my kids as an excuse. I try to use my mom as an excuse, my family as an excuse. And she said, I remember one of them told me, she said, did you ever use an excuse to not go party and use your family? I said, I know I used it to quit jobs, but, oh, my mom's sick, I can't work no more. And, but I never used it to not go party or to go out and have what I called fun. I was like, dang, these women, dang, because they knew me. They knew me. I'd be in a meeting. Those were those women that would, because I was angry, I would cuss a lot. I mean, I've cleaned it up, y'all. And they would there was one, she just looked at me and she'd go, I go, pass. They were the ones who were my moderators in the room to have me. They would say, this is not how a young Seminole woman acts and conducts herself. That well-brided work of a strong, powerful, spiritual woman. That's what they were talking to me about. And I didn't know that. And so I would clean up. I started cleaning up my act. Even to the sense of, they'd say, we'd go to a meeting. She said, you be ready. And they'd look up and down. I said, yes, ma'am. Because I couldn't leave the house dressed in my greasy t-shirt and my shorts and wearing flip-flops and not have my toenails painted, because this is not how Seminole women conduct themselves. We have pride, we have honor, we have respect, not only for ourselves, but for those people whom we are going to go to meet. And that's what they taught me. And I started learning. I started opening up, and they started working with me, talking to me about the steps, started bringing me in. And they were, you've heard me say, if you've heard me talk, they were ninjas. I try to sneak out of meetings because I'd cuss. I'd be like, they can't control me. They're not my boss. I just try to hurry up and get in my car and leave. And y'all seen those scary movies where you try to put your key in there and you can't move fast enough? Because I'm like, I gotta hurry. Those women are gonna get me. And they'd pop up, Andrea, and they'd let me know, not so much ridicule me or get on to me, They just let me know where I needed to correct myself and conduct myself. They were very stern, but they were strong women. A lot of people who know them call them mean. They call them mean. A lot of people who know me, they call me mean. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I've had the best teachers. My mom, my grandma, and them. I've had the best teachers. Because, you know, if we are going to be high value, strong, powerful, spiritual women, we've got to do that. We've got to do that. When you walk in a room, hold your head high. You know, sure, we've had some trouble. Sure, we've been through some ish, but that isn't who you are when you walk in the room. You know, what do they say? When you walk in a room, command that respect, because you deserve that. Because any amount of work, even if it's just for today, you deserve that respect. That's what I've learned. And so those women really taught me a way. And, you know, they weren't big book thumpers, but they also told me, why don't you go here? I got kicked out again. You might feel better over here. And it was a gentleman who was doing a medicine wheel, because they knew I was doing, I was from stomp dance, and I did a lot of those. I was raised that way. And Oklahoma City Indian Clinic also had a lady there who did wellbriety. And my therapist, because I had a therapist, he was younger than me. I gave him ish too, y'all. Y'all know I did, because he was younger than me. I was like, fool, you don't know me. You're younger than me. Like these three, the three tour. What are they? Three tour? Oh, tour three. Like, you're younger than me. But he stuck by me. But he talked to me straight too. Because there's be times I go in there into his office, as soon as that door shut, it was cognitive. As soon as I heard that click of that door shut in that doorway, I'd fall apart, because I knew I was safe. And he told me, he said, if you come back in here next time, we're going to go talk to the psychiatrist and get you some medications, because you're not doing this on your own no more. And I was like, okay, I'll straighten up. I'll quit crying, because I was pill phobic, because I'm an addict. And I couldn't do that, because it scared me. I didn't have enough good recovery under me and support system to be able to do that at that time. Bless you. And so, you know, I was learning what my boundaries were and didn't know it. And where I could go and where I couldn't go, where my weaknesses were, and I didn't know it. And so he brought out the Medicine Wheel and 12 Steps book for me, which at that time was a stapled papers, not the pretty binding stuff you guys get. And y'all hear that all the time from me. And he goes, why don't you take this and look it over and come back and tell me what you think? I said, okay. I took it, looked at it, walked away, because that's how I do stuff. And then I go back and he goes, did you look at that stuff? I was like, yeah. I wasn't lying, because I looked at it. I didn't look through it. He goes, well, what do you think? I said, oh, looks like it'd be pretty good. You know, but he knew me. He's a therapist. He said, did you look through it? Because I'm really semantic. I have to be directly told. And I said, no. He goes, well, do that this week. And when you come back, that's your homework. So I started looking through it. It made so much sense to me. It just made so much sense to me when I come back. I said, how do I do this? That's what I needed, because when I was going into those rooms at AA, and I have nothing against AA, that program has saved my life. It is where I started. It is where I'm comfortable with. I can go into any room. And because of wellbriety, I found a spiritual foundation. That's what I was lacking, was the spirituality component. And with that spiritual foundation that wellbriety brought me in the Medicine Wheel and 12 Steps, that has only enhanced my recovery and my ability to listen and be open-hearted and open-minded to other pathways of recovery. It's not singular no more for me, because if I just stay in one recovery room, when that fails me, I'm gonna go right back out. But if I'm able to walk in all the rooms, when one fails, I can go in another one. When that one does, because I'm selfish and I can be dishonest and I can manipulate, and I need a whole truckload of stuff behind me to dig through before I get to the bottom. And if I don't have that, I'm gonna go right back out there. And I don't have another drink in me, y'all. That stuff that's out there, it'll kill me. Because y'all know when we go back out, we don't go out simple. Yeah. and I don't have that in me again. So it's either this or that. So I stay here. And that's what Albrighty has taught me. And I am very, very appreciative to Oklahoma City Indian Clinic, because at that time in my recovery, they did not do multidisciplinary team. They did not understand wraparound services. That was prior to. I've been doing substance abuse recovery since the 90s, y'all. Counseling since then, because I got my degree. You know, I finished OSU. I got my degree. I graduated from OSU and UCO. I have substance abuse. My whole background is in substance abuse. And I love it. I know it, you know, and I've learned a lot. You all have taught me a lot too, you know, because I have to always remain open to the teaching. But I've also learned that our people are dying daily still at enormous amounts now. Enormous. I just got a message yesterday about someone. And it's sad because it's preventable. Preventable. As Don Coy said one time, he said the one place he knows where there is no alcohol or drug use, there is no addiction, there is no death, is this within a movement. And that's what you guys have here. I've been doing Wellbrighty since 2000. I've known about it since 2000 when they first came through Concho. And the second time when they did the Sacred Hoop Journeys, that's how long I've known about it. And knowing that there was something for us and we didn't get it then, it's a little sad, but here goes my ego. I love how you guys are doing this now, because I've sat with people, you know, the two master fire starters in Oklahoma were Ray and Connie. They were the only two Oklahoma had at that time. And then now you can go to a Wellbrighty meeting almost every day here in Oklahoma, in person. And that's amazing, because we struggle to have meetings. You know, and I'm appreciative of the youth, the vitality, and the, you know, you guys are my spring. Every time I come here and every time I see you guys are my spring season, because y'all got it going on. Y'all got it bouncing. I mean, I just love it. I enjoy it. And you guys are the ones that we planted the seeds and hoped it would grow. The youth and the vitality, you guys have it. And I see how you guys can connect to that even younger generation with Tatum and her work. You know, we've been told that if we start the healing now, the next generation is going to feel some of that generational trauma. But the next generation, the second generation after us, will have no idea about it, because we have done the healing work. I've seen that happen. I've been to reservations where I've done training. And if y'all don't know what I do professionally, I am a trainer for white bison now. In my efforts to get sober and get recovery, and one of my step 2 mind maps, I wrote I wanted to be a trainer. I will be a trainer, not I want to be. I will sit at the hoop with all the trainers. And I did that. I've been a trainer for white bison for 10 years. I go throughout the nations, taking healing, hope and healing curriculums to different communities. I've been here twice. And it's been an honorable journey. You know, me and Creator, we're good. You know, if today was the moment, I'm good with it. No regrets. I might have to argue with Chad about that, but we all pick on Chad, y'all. If y'all don't know Chad and you're in Oklahoma, when you see him, pick on him. We didn't put the mark on you. I put the hit. But that's the other part of this. It's fun, y'all. Recovery isn't that, you know, that if it wasn't for my laughter, the humor, because as natives, we have our humor. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have, you know, there's no telling. I got to laugh. I got to have that laugh where tears are coming out of my eyes, you know, and I know Barry and them, they all sit around and be slobbering and have boogers. Right now. But that's good for us. That's been our medicine. Laughter is a medicine. Tears are medicine. Tears are those unspoken prayers we don't get to say. They come out in those sweet tears. You know, we learned that in Mending Broken Hearts. Sweet tears and salty tears. Remember that. So when y'all go home and you start crying, taste it. Am I mad or am I feeling love? Uh, Natalie over here giving up secrets. She goes, "Am I in love?" Barry's gonna tell you. Barry's gonna say, "Stop. Let me check." See, you guys, just do that. And don't look at those steps as daunting. Oh, I gotta do. Y'all hear that talk about? Oh, you're in your step 4. Oh yeah. Ooh, you better watch it. Nobody loves doing no step 4. I'm like, come on, y'all. We're gonna have fun. And so, it's been, like I said, it's been wonderful. I've enjoyed it. I do have some bridges that have been burned that will never be rebuilt, and that's because of what I've done. No one else. What I've done. I have to be accountable to the things that I've done, and the damage and the hurt that I have caused. And the only way I can make amends is to do this, to be willing and to be open to the invitation. And y'all got to tell me when to, Natalie goes, keep going. She's not even from here. She don't even go here. Mean Girls reference. Oh, she's leading the coup. We're gonna make this Seminole country. we just laugh too much, y'all. I know it. We've done a training this week. We're doing medicine, will, and 12 steps for Comanche Nation this week. Yeah, they're good people. They're good people everywhere. We've got to let those biases go about who's doing it the wrong way. The bias of whose medicine is better. I'm like, God. But that happens. That happens. Because we're all trying to do the same thing, aren't we? Aren't we all trying to achieve the same goal? Sobriety and help our people. We want our people to live. Because we are the 1% that lived from the decimation. And we're trying to change that number. And the only way we can do that is to get recovery in all these places. And if that's our goal, then can't we unite on that? And I was going to say something else, but then I'll get in trouble for being political. Just fill it in any way you want. This is the state of Oklahoma. I'll take the hit on that. My name is Andrea Alexander, and growing up, my brother and them used to call me BIA. Blame it on Andrea. It's my other name. And those people who knew me in AA, they call me Miss AA because I was born into this apparently. AA, Andrea Alexander, to predestination. So there's a lot of things I fought, y'all. There's a lot of things I fought. My father wasn't very active in my life, but I did have some good men in my life because my mom took me to the ceremony grounds. I had a lot of uncles, a lot of boas who stepped into that role and were able to do that for me and for my children because they didn't have their fathers in their lives too. And so we've had good, healthy male role models. And in my Wellbriety, I have 3 men who really stepped up to the plate for my kids, especially my youngest daughter, Joe C. I don't know if you'll know him, but man, that dude, this is where I shed the tears. He was my brother in recovery and Wellbriety. We'd been together a little over 20 years, just trying to get this going. The last time I saw him, he would always ask me, where are you going? Who are you talking to? In the sense of which nation are you going? Are they getting the message? And I was able to tell him about the journeys. And he was, then it's, I want to be okay. I can go. And he passed. And that's all he wanted was this. So coming here and seeing this, I cried on the way up here because it's good to see. It's good to feel. But it's also to evidence the vision coming true. Because we sprinkled those seeds as much as we could in Oklahoma. Because our people need it. We are a land of 37 nations. Imagine if all the nations had at least one talking circle. Yeah, at least, at the minimum. And at the most, a Wellbriety program, a Wellbriety team. Could y'all imagine that gathering? That's y'all's vision. Y'all make that go forward. Y'all bring that to fruition. Then y'all can get up here and cry with me. Shed those tears of love. I'm gonna start licking it. I got soft on my face. humor though, but you see how I do. And that's what I've had to learn. And to be able to cry, to be able to just actually be authentic in my tears and to not apologize for my tears. Because that was my childhood upbringing. Saying, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cry. I'm not a crybaby. You know, I remember someone telling me one time, you need to quit crying because if mom sees you like that, she's going to get even more sick. You know, and so I'm like, okay. But I couldn't quit because the dam had broke. And I'm like, and they're like, stop it. And I'm like, I can't. And the more they kept telling me stop, the worse it got. The more it kept welcoming. And I was like, I just got to go. So I left. I went to the lunchroom. And in the elevator ride to the lunchroom, I just bawled. Because I had to let it out. And then I go back upstairs. They're like, are you all right? I go, effing leave me alone. But that's my family. Because we still have to see our families. But I get to choose my family these days. So, you know, you all are part of my family. If we've met once, I try to remember everybody, not so much their name. Because I'm getting a little bit older. But if I see your face, I kind of recognize you. So I knew the Oklahoma City ladies. I was like, hey, Oklahoma City's here. That's Reverend Alvin Dear's church people. I was like, yeah. So I try to hit meetings. And if you get to do that, you know, travel. How far did you drive to get high or get drunk? Exactly. No meeting is too far away to support a circle in this state. I'm on my podium now. You can drive 2 hours to go to Cherokee Nation and go to a meeting. You can drive 2 hours to go, or yeah, it's about 2 hours to get to Iowa Nation for a meeting on Wednesday at 5:30. And that's a hybrid meeting. There's no excuse really because it's on Zoom. You can drive an hour to go to Absentee Shoney's at 5:30 on Thursday. You can drive 2 hours to get to Tulsa tonight and go to a meeting. Or I can drive an hour and 10 minutes to here to come to a meeting. I got to do myself too. So that'll be my conscious effort to get out more west because now I'm realizing y'all just as crazy as me. We've bonded and we've connected. And yes, interwoven. Just as long as we don't have enmeshed boundaries, then I'll have to stop y'all. So I'm still in therapy. But it's been a good life. I mean, you know, the trainings, you know, that's all I do is for White Bison. In my life, I've been a dishwasher, a waitress. I've been a housekeeper in hotels. I've wallpapered hotel rooms. I've done mud, drywall, hung drywall, did that. I know how to wire for like, what is it called? I can't say it now. Telephone wiring when it was there, because that's how old I am. And for internet, the 3 colors and all that. I know how to braid those. I can braid. I've worked at Target in the store and as the cleaning crew. Done both. Gone to college. I've been a mom, stay-at-home mom, and I didn't like it. Worked in a laundry, all the hospitals folding their sheets. You know, I've had some tough-ass jobs where I worked my ass off to make money for my kids. I've been a barmaid. And, you know, I've done that other stuff, the other hustler stuff. I won't name it. Chad thinks he knows. He don't know nothing. That's not me no more. I done did my steps on that one. I've worked in tribal government, like Natalie said. I've been a TA at a tribal town. I've been on council, finance committees, budgets, wrote grants. You know, I went from not doing nothing, not having nothing, to when I walk in a room, people are happy to see me. They don't run away from me. And they're actually hug me and say they love me. Because before they were like, I can't believe she showed up. You know, do you know what she did? I was that girl. I was that girl. That girl in high school who everybody talked about. I was that girl. I'm not that girl no more because I'm a woman. I command respect now. That's right. And that's who I am. And that's what I've worked hard. I've worked really hard to achieve this. And Well Bridie has really, really afforded me a spiritual foundation to stand upon and say, hell yeah, I can do this. Yeah. If I back down from something, it's because I'm sick. I have health issues. And I try to do as much as I can when I can, while I can. Every month I try to do something I've never done before. And now it rounds out to 8 to 10 things I've done in a month now. I've been given my Go tell your family, get prepared. Papers, from my doctors, 4 times. I've outlived that expiration date. So I'm clabbered milk, y'all. Oh, doxy. But that's the thing is, when I worked on my spirituality, when I sit down and get to my knees and pray, can't no one touch what that Creator has given me. And if it's my time and my day, I'm good with it. There's not going to be no fighting going out that door. Because I get to see my mom. What do they say? We get to go to the big Hoya in the sky. We get to play stickball again. I get to run with her. And that's a good feeling. Good dream. She afforded us a window, a 24-hour window to see what it was like. And she told us about it. So I have witness account from her about how it's going to be. And she told us she'll be there. That's the mom she was. She took care of us all the way to the end. And even in the afterlife to let us know we're going to be okay and that she's going to be okay. And everyone needs a mom like that. And if you don't have a mom like that, Natalie's here, we're here. We'll mom you. We'll mom you. I even do next weekend. Is it next weekend? I got to check my calendar. Or the weekend after. I do mom's hugs. I'm going to a pride event in Texas. I'm at the end of the line and I hug everybody who crosses the line. For those people who don't have no moms, to support them and honor them in their path because they fought to be who they are and to be proud of who they are. And that's where I go. Something new that I started last year. And so I'm dragging my niece. She don't know. I don't think she's watching, but she's going to go. But that's what I do. I try to bring as many women as I can. Where am I at, Barry? Barry's looking. I'm done. Am I? Closing remarks. Support those circles that you have out there. And remember, if you drove so far to get high or drunk, you can go and support a meeting. And if it's on Zoom, you can still attend. There's some after hours meetings. You can attend those. I know a lot of people are fried up on Zoom, fried up on the computer. But if we have a spirit and there's a recovery spirit, you can't bottle that or contain that. Just remember that. You can't bottle it or contain it. Love is love. And love is everywhere. I'm going to start singing Beatles songs. And just keep it simple. Love your family. Love that. You get to choose your family these days. That's the best part recovery has given me. I get to choose my family. My family's, my family's, to put it in a nice way, is lopsided. And, and some I want in recovery. I want everybody in recovery and well-brighting and getting the message and walking a healing path. It's sad that certain circumstances have to happen before they decide that. But that's out of my control. I can't control and force them to come in here because that's one thing I learned is I can't work with people I'm related to. I can't 12-step any people I'm related to closely because then I make it my mission, not theirs. So I've got my boundaries. I won't work a program for someone. If you work as hard as you can, I'll help you, but I won't work harder than you. That's why I don't sponsor. I'll mentor. I'll walk with you. I'll be your big sister in well-brighty. I use the word sister. Big sister. If it's a little sister, then I'm walking with them. It's like I said, it's words. It's semantic for me. That's how I was able to digest this whole recovery stuff, or I wouldn't have got it. I had to adjust how things looked to fit for me, because that whole peer stuff, to meet them where they're at. I had no peer meeting me where I was at. I had to do it my own way because I'm a hardhead, and I know y'all aren't. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. I just love watching y'all's work. I really do. I do. All of y'all. My niece got her package. The youth package. She was, oh, they thought about me. Okay. It's a youth snag bag. She got the snag bag, and I told her don't be snagging because she just had her senior trip, y'all. No, she had fun. But thank you all. I appreciate all of your efforts. And anyone out there who's doing well-brighty and walking that path, and I know at times it's like, why do we do this? There's no one attending. There's no one responding. Just think at your seasons. Look at your seasons. Spring, summer, winter, fall. Where are we at? Where's the community at? Community mobilization. Where's the community at? Meet them where they're at. What season are they in? Are they ready for this or are they not? Just align that. It's all about aligning. For me, that's how I see it. Mind map, mind map. I'll always push mind maps. That's how it worked out to get divorced. Not really. But I did, though. So, Mado, I appreciate y'all. I think I'm done. Am I done? All right.
All right. And that concludes our tonight's performance. Thank you very much again, Andrea. We're so glad that you came. And I know you've touched a lot of the people that are in this community, bringing the trainings and everything. You know, you're one of the reasons that we have the low priority meetings in this community. So thank you again. Thank you for everybody that's been watching. Thank you for everybody that's here attending. If there's food left over, you're more than welcome to fix plates and take it. So, and that's your snack bag. Hey. Thank you. Good night.